Hello and welcome to another edition of the Glorious Wrestling Podcast. Today we will be breaking down the SmackDown exclusive Battleground pay-per-view. As always, I'm joined by the Simon to my Ben from Rot Culture, Dan Panopoulos. How are you, sir?
Hi, Nick. Yeah, I'm great and looking forward to the SmackDown pay-per-view to respond to Great Balls of Fire.
Do you think this has any chance of being superior to Great Balls of Fire?
No.
Fair enough. I agree, and I don't think there needs to be much depth gone into it about that. No, it's pretty clear the Great Balls of Fire is going to be the superior pay-per-view. But anyway, it's a pay-per-view that's happening and we're going to break it down. So, starting with the match that no one really asked for, the returning John Cena taking on the returning Rusev in a flag match. First of all, what the hell is a flag match?
I don't know. It's happened before, but I've got no idea. We probably have to do some research on it and watch something else to see. Well, you got to watch a previous match and see how you actually win, because this has just been thrown together at the last minute, it seems. So it'll be interesting to see.
What the hell is research? I'm pretty sure it's like a pole match, but with flags. I think that's the impression that SmackDown gave me, where it's like you have both flags set up in the corners, and whoever can pull theirs down first wins. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway.
Right, sounds enthralling.
So, how quickly will Cena win this match?
I'm hoping not all that quickly, because you've had Rusev sitting on the sideline months waiting for the right thing to come back into the WWE with. I'm hoping Rusev wins, to be honest. But I'm hoping this match goes for a while to give both guys... I mean, Cena doesn't need anything, but just to build them up, having been on the shelf for a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will be a decent length match just looking at the rest of the card. But at the same time, it is a flag match, so there's no pinfalls, there's no submissions. And, I mean, we both know that a John Cena match isn't ending with a Bulgarian flag being waved back and forth. I don't see that happening. And Rusev was standing tall on SmackDown, so that's usually the kiss of death.
Yeah, so you'd think Cena will win, and it'll be interesting to see what they go from here, but the feud itself has lasted, it's been 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
2 or 3?
2 or
2
3.
weeks, so, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to rate the feud out of 10, it's not a high number. No, it wouldn't be, and there's no real reason for it to be high. It's basically just your typical racist American, oh, I'm American and you're a foreigner thing, so I don't think there's really much to get excited about here. I think Cena will win and go on to either face one of the champions at SummerSlam, whether it's AJ or Jinder. So, and I think Rusev will just get lost in the shuffle. Maybe he'll feud with Sammy. Who knows? Anyway, so I guess we're both saying Cena win this one clean? Cena wins and goes on to face AJ, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin. This match is slightly more interesting than Cena and Rusev. Has there been anything to the feud, though? Is there anything to this feud other than what we saw at Money in the Bank?
Not really. I mean, there's been obviously the backstage stuff, a couple of attacks, and what we've seen at Money in the Bank. There's not a whole lot to it, but I mean, it's still an interesting dynamic to see Nakamura versus Corbin, to see what type of match they can put on. Yeah. And it's interesting because you have to think, I mean, when you say who wins, I mean, automatically you're thinking Nakamura, and he probably does win, but I don't think you can rule out Corbin necessarily just because, he's missed Money in the Bank. They still have to build him up a little bit. He's not at that point where he cashes in and he's ready to be champion, and they need to have, someone sort of established in that role. So it's an intriguing match. I still think Nakamura will win, but I think it'll be a good match and it'll go for a while.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Nakamura only because if you look at past Money in the Bank winners, I don't have the stats on me, but I'm pretty sure you'll find that most Money in the Bank winners lose their next pay-per-view. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Like you look at, I know Daniel Bryan did. I'm pretty sure Sheamus and Ziggler did. Cena did, I think. So it's very odd. Like they give him this massive push, and then they make him lose.
It's like they're trying trying to rebuild them. The old, everyone sees they've been given the big push, but then you try and rebuild them slightly. Make them lose and build them back up to a point where they can challenge for the title, because they're already on that high, which is probably the equivalent of a title win, winning the briefcase, because it's an automatic title win, pretty much. So, I think, if you look at it, I think Nakamura wins, but he'll be good enough to help put Corbin over, and Corbin's good enough to do it himself as well. So I think that will be a good match.
Yeah, I can't see either of them really coming out of this match as a loser. Nakamura probably wins and moves on to Jinder at SummerSlam. Corbin, it's okay if he doesn't really have a feud going forward. He has the briefcase, so he can be inserted into the title picture whenever they want. So, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, okay, so I guess we're both in agreement again, unfortunately, that Nakamura is winning this match. Anyway, on to the main event of the pay-per-view. Sorry, go on. What are you saying?
We're always tending to agree, and I think we'll find that it happens a couple of times here.
Guess we'll find out. Anyway, on to the main event of the pay-per-view. Breezango, their reveal of who has trashed their office and killed Tully the horse. This is obviously the most important thing going down at Battleground. The X-Files was one of the best segments in SmackDown history, without question. First of all, what will the reveal be?
Well, obviously it'll be a reveal of who's been doing it. You'd think it would be that. And Harper and Rowan seems to be where it should be going, because he pulled out the Breezango, the note that had Battleground written on the note.
Yeah.
And it was very much Eric Rowan-like, the way it was written. So I think that's what it's going to be.
I mean,
Harper and Rowan reunite as a tag team and build them up as the next tag team champions, probably.
There's nothing else for them to do, so I think that would be really the best thing they could possibly be doing. They also look like the drawings that Tyler Breeze found, that Tyler Breeze sketched from Fandango's when he was attacked, or was the other way around? Anyway, you know what I mean.
Other way around, yeah.
Yeah, it's a striking resemblance, and there is literally no one else on the SmackDown roster that would fit the bill, because all the tag teams are either breaking up, Busy, or Babyface. So there's really no one else. But yeah, so I would hope so. I don't think this needs to be a match either. This could just be a segment where they come out, demand that the attackers come out, and then Harper and Rowan can lay them out. I would like to see maybe Harper keep his domestic sort of gimmick, where he's just a regular dad, and Rowan can still be the crazy Wyatt, but Harper's sort of like that tweener who has to control his brother, but, he's also got a family to feed and stocks to manage and shit.
Yeah, it would have been good to see them capitalise on Harper and push him more as a singles star, but I guess we've seen a lot of this getting lost in the shuffle, and teams, breaking up, and stars not being able to find to do something on their own, like use their own feet. So putting them together is probably the smart move. It's probably where they're going to be for most of their careers, WWE. And yeah, if they lay them out, I guess with Harper though, if you have that character, it's not really leaning itself towards being a heel character. So, and they need to be heels if they're attacking Breezango.
Yeah, you'd think so.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. Hopefully it's not like other times where we're meant to have just forgotten that, like Eric Rowan was a face for a bit, and then we're meant to forget that, and he goes back to being psycho. Hopefully Harper maintains some normalness, and he's not just crazy again.
I don't think there's ever been any continuity with the Wyatt family in any way, so I wouldn't be...
Which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, Harper and Rowan I rate higher than Bray, but that's just me. Anyway, next up we have the women's 5-way elimination match, which is basically the same match that we saw at Money in the Bank, except with Lana instead of Carmella, so it's weaker than it was at Money in the Bank, and it also doesn't feature any ladders, and all you get for winning is a title match, not the briefcase. So this is basically just a watered-down version of what we saw at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts first, because, I mean, as you said, it's very much a watered-down version, and I want to hear what you think, whether this should be happening, and who wins.
I'm disappointed that this is happening on pay-per-view. I don't feel like this needed to be saved for a pay-per-view match because, like, this is easily something you could have done on a SmackDown. It's not like they've been busy with other things. And then you could have had the match at Battleground leading into something at SummerSlam. Naomi hasn't really defended her title against a serious opponent since Alexa? Like, there really hasn't been anything because she's had 3 matches against Lana. 2 of them went for about 18 seconds. The first one was average at best. So I feel like they should have gone with something maybe like Naomi versus Becky at Battleground, leading into Naomi versus Charlotte at SummerSlam or something. There's plenty of matches that they could do here, and it doesn't seem like Naomi's going to be a long-term champion. So I don't understand why they need to stretch it out like this. If we're thinking winner, I think Charlotte is the logical choice. Becky beat her clean on SmackDown, which probably, again, leans towards the fact that Charlotte's probably going to win at the pay-per-view. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I was thinking Charlotte because you need to have that marquee name for a SummerSlam women's title match.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to have... you've got Naomi as a champion who's still floundering for all intents and purposes. So, yeah, I think it's either Charlotte or Becky, and as you said, that logic, you see what happens on the go-home show before the pay-per-view. So, Charlotte.
I think Becky might actually be the one who wins. I think they might be setting it up as if Charlotte's obviously going to be the winner, and then they have Becky win and set up a triple threat match at SummerSlam, with Charlotte forcing her way into the match somehow. But I definitely think it'll come down to Becky and Charlotte just because there's just no star power in the other 3 at all. So, however they get eliminated, it doesn't really matter. But it'll come down to Becky and Charlotte.
The other thing to go against the triple threat is that it looks like we might be getting something with the Raw women's match. I know Bayley and Sasha are having a number 1 contenders match next week, but you get the feeling there that it's likely it could become a fatal 4-way or triple threat.
Yep. True.
And you don't want to see both women's titles having the same sort of thing, just like you don't want to see any other stipulation, I guess, happen twice. So I guess for that reason, that's why I think it should just be Charlotte, clean cut, those 2 against each other.
Fair enough. Charlotte's probably the most likely to win anyway. Everyone knows I'm the biggest Becky Lynch fan, so maybe I'm just pulling for her a bit. Anyway, the Usos versus the New Day in a Money in the Bank rematch. Tag team titles are on the line. Hasn't really been much to the feud outside of the rap battle, which was bloody good, and the Usos won. So, what do you think is going to happen at Battleground?
Well, this is an interesting one because, on one hand, I don't want the Usos to lose the titles, but on the other hand, this rivalry has to keep going. So I'd have the New Day win the titles, I think, because none of these none of these feuds have been long term, except for Mahal Orton, which will probably be coming to an end. And you need something. You can't just have new feuds. Like after Battleground, before SummerSlam, you've got 5 weeks. You can't just have all of them be new feuds to try and keep going. Try and rebuild and start again. So I think the New Day should win. That rap battle was unbelievable. Like that was great to watch. But yeah, so I personally have the New Day winning.
Well, that's good because I have the Usos winning because as much as I agree with what you've said, the problem is there really isn't any heel teams to challenge the New Day unless you, of course, look at Harper and Rowan and if they push them to the moon. But that would probably take a few extra months or a few extra pay-per-views beyond SummerSlam. I do agree that maybe we'll get another Usos New Day match, but I feel like at this stage, the Usos are probably going to keep their titles just so they can end it at SummerSlam instead of having New Day win it and then who do they feud with? Like, I feel like it's just cleaner if you keep the titles on the Usos, but this is one of those ones. It can go either way, but I don't think it particularly matters who wins.
No, that's true. But I do think that this feud probably has to go past SummerSlam only because while you say there's no obvious heel tag teams apart from potentially Harper Rowan. We still don't know if that's going to happen. That's us saying that we think that's going to happen. But there's no base teams really to do only two teams, really.
Yeah.
Especially if you go Breezango tied up with the others, and you're not going to have the hype bros or whatever, unless you bring them in just to turn them heel. Who knows? But that's why I'd have New Day win, because I'd have, like, the Usos will get the titles back eventually, I believe. But you need to have this one keep going, otherwise you're just having so many new feuds after SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I guess the other issue is, like, can this feud go another 5 weeks? We've already seen it in the last 2 weeks. They sort of have reverted to singles matches and not really put any effort into it. So maybe they are holding things in the tank. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to say the Usos. You're saying New Day, so that's good. We'll disagree on something.
Yep.
I will be right eventually, hopefully. Anyway, Mike Kanellis versus Sami Zayn. This isn't a match that has been made for Battleground just yet, but all the signs point to this being added to the card. What do you think of the Power of Love gimmicks? I know you are a big Mike Bennett fan.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know it's to build up because no one knows who Mike Bennett is, so this is a way to bring him in. But I don't know. It limits what he can do under this gimmick, and this gimmick has to last for a while. So that's the reason I'm not a fan of it. Sami Zayn's a dorky sort of character at the moment. I mean, it's entertaining. I mean, you see the clips backstage from the past few weeks. But yeah, I mean, we don't know if this match should happen. I don't know. I'm very indecisive in this sort of thing because I'm not a fan of the gimmick.
I think it's a good thing. I think the gimmick is going to work for Mike for the first 6 to 8 months, just because I've never seen him wrestle outside of his match with Sami Zayn today. The gimmick is a nice way in. I honestly think that there is no better way into introducing Mike Kanellis or Mike Bennett, depending on who you ask. I don't mind it. I think it's going to maybe not get them over, but it'll build them up as credible mid-carders, rather than you look at someone like Ty Dillinger, who's come in without really a tangible gimmick, and it's sort of meant that he hasn't been able to get much TV time, if you know what I mean. At least they have promos they can cut every week.
Yeah,
at the very least. Yeah.
So who do you have winning?
Well, it was weird because the match on SmackDown, Sammy dominated the entire thing. Mike barely even got a move in until the end, and then his finisher was the Dana Brooke finisher. So I don't know how long he'll use that one for, because it's basically just an AA but sitting down. So I don't think. I don't know. See, I think Mike will win, just because it's his first match really, but Sammy could probably steal it. I don't know, and continue this feud, because really there's nothing really else for either of them to do. I mean, Mike Kanellis, Ty Dillinger feud would be nice to see. I think they would mesh well.
Yep.
You could probably move Sammy onto Rusev, but yeah, this seems like a bit of a filler thing until we head into SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think Sammy will win, but I do hope that this gimmick works purely because Mike Kanellis, he has a lot of potential to be good. He's great on the mic, which is going to be lost in these first few months where Maria's doing a lot of the talking and he's sort of head over heels for her and just like sort of following her command, that sort of thing. But he's got a huge future ahead of him. But yeah, I think Sammy has to win this.
Okay.
He just has to.
Moving on to what is the real main event of the pay-per-view, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. What did you think of the title changing hands on a house show? It was a very brave move by them.
Yeah, I liked it. We saw it happen, was it last year, the NXT title. I think, obviously it's not going to happen often. You hear like Dave Meltzer or whatever say, yeah, this should happen maybe once every 3 or 4 years. Obviously it happened because this is the biggest house show, arguably, in America, at the Garden. So I liked it. I also think it rushes things because I think they do want to do Cena Styles. We saw the last week how that they teased it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they did it, because they want to hurry it up a bit. So I didn't mind that. I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the unpredictability of it. I think it means that people will come to house shows knowing that it's possible that something could happen like that. Because, I mean, you look at matches like AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens, and you think that is a dream match. That is a match that you would want to see main event pay-per-views. Like, these guys were the WWE and the Universal Champion, respectively, at the start of this year. And now they're feuding over a mid-card title. You're right that it does seem like they're rushing it to move on to the next thing, which is a bit of a shame. It would be nice to have seen them have like a big blow-off match with a stipulation at SummerSlam, but it doesn't seem like that's the way they're going. So I guess in that perspective, it looks like AJ Styles will retain his title, Kevin Owens will move on to something else, and AJ will defend against either Cena or Shinsuke, depending on which way they want to take it. I mean, you could see them throwing Kevin Owens into the mix. I don't really know who could feud with Kevin at SummerSlam. I feel like he's going to get lost in the shuffle a bit, being dropped from the title. But yeah, maybe Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. I don't think we've seen that feud either. But then again, Randy hasn't really turned anything good. Any feud he's been in hasn't really been good since his prior to his injury, like 2015. I can't think of a single good thing outside of being with Bray for a couple of months, and that really didn't lead anywhere.
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens potentially, don't know if he'll be back before the Royal Rumble, but Chris Jericho potentially. Jericho's been doing he was doing a lot of the stuff in Japan recently when they were doing house shows in Japan, like the tour over there, and Jericho was part of that. So,
yeah.
I'd like to see that as to, to wrap it up, to give Kevin Owens something to do. They'd still be able to do something really, in the weeks leading up to SummerSlam. That'd be a great feud. They can still, on the mic, they can do heaps of promos and stuff. So, for me, I don't know if Jericho's available or whatever, but that's what I think should happen.
Fair enough. So yeah, I'm guessing we're both saying that AJ Styles will keep his title. Yeah. And do you think it'll be clean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Styles is a face, and he's that good that it doesn't matter if Owens loses clean to Styles.
Yeah. And I hope we get a few open challenges before they move on to whatever feud AJ is going to do next. You could even, with 5 weeks, you can do 2 weeks of open challenges and then 3 weeks of building a feud, because it's such a good idea and it works so well for Cena. So I would love to see Styles defending against, Gable, Dillinger, Harper, whoever. Anyway, so now the WWE's main event of the pay-per-view, the Punjabi prison match, Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. For those that don't know, the Punjabi prison has featured classics in the past, such as the Great Khali versus Batista, I believe. I can't remember.
Yep.
And The Undertaker versus The Big Show, because the Great Khali got injured the week before the match and had to be replaced by Big Show. So that's the quality that this is going to have to live up to. In that regard, I think it might actually be able to do it, because the Big Show Undertaker match actually ended prematurely when the actual structure broke. So, I guess it's possible for this match to live up to Punjabi prison expectations, because it takes the worst part of a steel cage match, which is the escaping, and adds it to a structure where you have to do that twice, so you have to climb over both structures. It's also made of bamboo, and it's bigger than Hell in a Cell. So you're combining all of the worst features of the cage pay-per-views and putting it into a stipulation. And you're also featuring 2 incredibly slow and boring wrestlers. I'm not excited for this at all, if you haven't caught that drift already.
This could be the greatest Punjabi prison match in the history of the WWE, so a bit of history there for Jinder and Randy. Well, Randy's not going to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for him to win unless they're trying to feud out more, which they will not be doing. Jinder has to go into SummerSlam as champion because that is where the market is. SummerSlam is the second. Well, one of the big four shows, but arguably the biggest show apart from WrestleMania, and that's where the market. That's where they want the market's eyes to be directed towards, and Jinder is representative of that market. That's why he is champion. Therefore, Jinder has to win.
Yeah, so on top of everything we've already discussed, the result is obvious because they're not going to have Randy Orton win the third match of the feud because that would make literally no sense. So Jinder is going to win. So we already know the result, basically, unless they pull some kind of giant swerve or the structure breaks again, which would be hilarious.
Baron Corbin should just run through the structure completely and cover one of them at the end of the match.
Can we please just have Corbin come in 3 minutes into the match, just come in and ruin the match and end it and save us all? Because honestly, I will be turning the pay-per-view off early because I am that bored by this match. Because, again, Jinder is going to win, obviously, because it wouldn't make sense for him not to, which means Jinder Mahal is going to be the WWE champion at SummerSlam, which is just mind-boggling, but it's going to happen. And there's just nothing to get excited about in this match. Orton is such a slow, methodical wrestler, and he's only interesting when he's facing guys who are quick. Like, you look at his best matches are against guys like Christian and Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho and guys who actually have some speed, whereas Jinder is your bodybuilder, slow style wrestler who is really just not that interesting. So this is... I just don't get it. Jinder will win, and he'll go on to face... Who do you think? Shinsuke, AJ, Cena? One of those three?
Shinsuke.
Yep.
I think Shinsuke. Yeah.
Do you think Shinsuke will dethrone him and take the title?
Not at SummerSlam.
No?
I think they're gonna go all out with Jinder.
Those words. I don't like those words.
That big show, like I was talking about, the whole market share and all that, all eyes on SummerSlam. If he loses the title there, while there'll be interest from the Indian market, but maybe they'll think that, it was just a way to get into the market as opposed to something that's sustainable. So I think Jinder needs to be champion coming out of SummerSlam as well. I'd have Shinsuke getting another rematch and winning the title event. That's why I think Baron Corbin-Shinsuke is a feud that can run for a long time in terms of Corbin cashes in on Nakamura. That's what needs to happen before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I think Mahal needs to come out of SummerSlam as champion, that he can lose it at the next pay-per-view or, one of the B shows.
Look,
and that way you have Nakamura getting the feud going, maybe in the rematch that Mahal gets after losing the title. That's when you have Corbin cash in. I just think that's what needs to happen. So heading into the Royal Rumble, that's the feud.
Look, I'll put this plainly. Fuck the Indian market. I don't care about the Indian market. Who gives a crap what they think? They're going to watch regardless because they don't... they've been watching for years before there was an Indian champion, and they'll keep watching after the Indian champion loses his title. This needs to end. And it needs to end at SummerSlam because it's not going to end at Battleground because Randy Orton isn't the guy to beat him. It's going to end at SummerSlam with hopefully Shinsuke. It wouldn't make sense for it to be AJ because obviously he's got his own title now. It wouldn't make sense for it to be Cena because that'll him beating Ric Flair's record, and to do that against Jinder Mahal would be the biggest anticlimax in WWE history. So yeah, I guess I honestly think you have Shinsuke winning at SummerSlam, Corbin cashing in at the next pay-per-view, and then you have Shinsuke getting it back from Corbin before the end of the year, which leads into Styles Nakamura at WrestleMania. You can even do Cena Shinsuke at the Royal Rumble if you want to get creative. I think that's how it'll shape up across the rest of the year for SmackDown, and it all starts at SummerSlam. So this is a bit of a nothing pay-per-view all round. I think with the exception of Styles Owens and maybe some good back and forth between Becky and Charlotte, there really isn't much to get excited about at this pay-per-view, unfortunately.
No, Breezango, hopefully.
Yes, and Breezango, of course.
Hopefully hopefully that closes the show.
Yeah, absolutely it should. Anyway, speaking of closing the show, I feel like this is 15 minutes shorter than our normal things, but there really isn't anything else to talk about. So I guess there's Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English on the pre-show if you want to go in length about that.
Yeah, or Chad Gable being lost in the shuffle potentially because of the news from Raw the other day. But
actually, no. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Angle and Jason Jordan. I feel like we need a platform to talk about that anyway. So let's go into some detail about Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan. What did you think about it as it was happening?
It couldn't be anyone else. After they were talking about multi-sports and all that, it became a little bit obvious who it was. I was hoping Adam Cole, just to have a way to introduce him to the WWE.
Yeah.
Even though it's the unlikeliest of stories. Jason Jordan, I guess logically it doesn't make sense, but
No.
WWE logically it kind of makes sense. The age gap between them, the fact that they're, but Gable, yeah. If Gable was 3 years younger, it would have been Gable, and that would have been, while still as silly as this is, it would have made more sense.
Yeah, I don't think people quite realise that if they had done it with Chad Gable, Angle would have been like 15 when Gable was born.
Yeah.
So I don't think that quite works.
Yes, but it is extremely silly. Yeah, no one believes it.
No. And now Jason Jordan has to spend the rest of his wrestling career as Kurt Angle's son. That's not something you can wipe out.
Yes, that's not the WWE logic of getting what happened in the past. That can't happen here. They've gone with this. This is what they've decided to go with for Jason Jordan, and he's only 28. So if he's with the company if he turns out to be a star, and he's in a decade he's still one of the top. He's a top guy with the company. I mean, you can credit Kurt Angle with it, but it's not his real dad.
I'm concerned with it only because Jordan has never really been great at the whole character side of things. He struggled for 3 years in NXT. Exactly, that's the reason. That's the reason why he never got pushed in NXT was because he was really bad at on the mic and really bad at character work, and it was Gable that brought the good bit out of him because Gable carried the load there. So I'm quite worried because Angle is also not very good on the mic at the moment. He was mumbling a bit and wasn't getting through that promo very well. So this could be a bit of a train wreck. It could be a good train wreck. I hope that they just next week have them playing catch in a backyard somewhere, or have them on a swing. Have like Jordan being pushed by Angle on a swing or something. I don't know. They have to go down a comedic angle with this. I don't think they can take this seriously.
But where does it lead? This has to be the start of a Jason Jordan push.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, and if it's just skits, then you've taken him from doing nothing to somehow making him worse than doing nothing. Like, being off screen was bad, but if this is just skits and stuff for the sake of it, and I know what your thoughts are regarding a tag team. I don't think that's the case, but I mean, elaborate on your thoughts for that.
Oh, on the Angle and Jordan teaming up thing.
Yeah.
No, that was a joke. I don't actually think that's going to happen. Sheamus and Cesaro versus Angle and Jordan at SummerSlam was my idea, but probably not.
It should be American Alpha versus Sheamus and Cesaro.
Exactly.
This is, and even if it's a big push, why on Raw? Yeah.
Oh, I guess because Angle was there, but I don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I mean, they've got enough people there.
I guess
if Angle was on SmackDown, not that it would make more sense, but at least a push for Jason Jordan as a singles person on SmackDown would make more sense from that regard.
The SmackDown singles division is pretty stacked, and I think it's overstacked. So at least on Raw, you've got guys like Cass and Samson, who he could probably feud with. You got that heel mid-card division that actually exists, whereas on SmackDown it sort of doesn't, and that's why we don't really have any mid-card feuds. So I think it could be okay. I don't see how this can survive more than 6 months, especially with Jordan's abilities. And, Angle's going to have to do his own thing sooner or later. I think my personal guess is that this was supposed to be what everyone thought it was going to be. It was a way to do Angle versus Triple H at SummerSlam with him having an affair with Stephanie. But they got cold feet because they realized everyone is going to hate Stephanie and Angle having an affair, and they went with something else, which was this. But isn't it quite coincidental that Kurt Angle gave birth to a kid who also did wrestling and amateur wrestling and then became a professional wrestler? What would be the odds of that happening?
Yeah, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely when you look at all the professions and all the sports and athletics and everything like that. So, it screams of being put together at the last minute. Unless they reveal Chad Gable to be Triple H's son.
Yeah. Even though that would mean Triple H was...
The age difference is even worse there because Triple H is younger than Kurt Angle.
Who cares at this point? Who cares? Go all in. Triple H is the father of Chad Gable because...
And then that's how you start the Triple H angle.
Exactly. And then...
I think you saying Asuka as the illegitimate daughter of Kurt Angle would have made more sense.
Yeah, why not? At this stage...
It would have been funnier.
Yeah.
It would have been funnier.
If you're going to do something like this, at least make it hilarious. Why not have Hideo Itami as Triple H's son, even though there's 5 years gap between them or something? Just go balls to the wall. Don't... no one actually believes that Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's son, so why not do something that isn't, semi-serious? Anyway, I think...
They don't even look the same, and...
No.
They're trying to highlight that they kind of look the same. I think Renee said it in the, after Raw thing that they had, the interview.
Bloody hell, Renee.
Kind of look the same. So they don't look the same.
No, they don't.
The sameness are that they are humans, and Kurt Angle is bald, and Jason Jordan has got a shaved head.
Yeah, that's literally it. That is the only resemblance. Yeah.
That's it. It's not a knock on Jason Jordan, but they should have just. There's no reason to break up American Alpha for this. I'd rather them be off TV for 3 months until an opening comes up than this. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Chad Gable because he could be a star by himself.
He absolutely could. So. And there's no question he would have impressed people with his match against AJ Styles. It's just whether that SmackDown singles division can actually hold another person, because you've already got Harper, Dillinger, and Mojo. I guess he's back in the tag team, but he'll probably be split with...
Harper might be as well.
Yeah, but you probably got Mojo and Zack splitting up as well, so then you've got so much depth in that singles division, and you haven't even... guys like Kane are still away, and you've got Cena and Orton who are ending their feuds, and Rusev is back, and there's so much in that SmackDown singles division that adding someone like Gable, who is good enough to be a United States champion without a shadow of a doubt, it'll be interesting to see. But I guess we should wrap it up there because we've padded out an extra 10 minutes quite well. I guess we'll have to wait and see probably until next week's Raw to see where this Angle with Angle is going. But yeah.
Oh, yes.
So that was our Battleground predictions, even though we spent about 10 minutes at the end there talking about Raw. You can follow us on Twitter at GloriousNWP. You can follow Dem on Twitter at
DemP_9.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Nick Negropontus. Thank you for tuning in to this wonderful podcast. It should be a good pay-per-view, maybe. Hopefully the wrestling talks for itself, and even though no one is really excited about the pay-per-view itself, maybe the wrestling will be good enough to hold up, and maybe we'll get a match of the year candidate in Kevin Owens and AJ Styles. That would be nice. So thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.